Hey everyone, welcome back to my reviews of the Santa Claus show on Disney Plus. That is a sentence I did not think I'd be saying again, but here we are. There's a season 2 of this show, so you know the drill. Spoilers ahead if you haven't seen the show or don't want to be spoiled. Click off the video, come back. But let's just go ahead and jump into the review. I'm going to be using the same structure that I used for my past Santa Claus reviews, which means I'm going to be talking about the nice, which is stuff I like in the show, the naughty, the stuff I don't really like in the show, and we're also going to be doing a Bernard watch. And you're probably thinking, Bernards are going to be in the show. Why do we need a Bernard watch? Well, first of all, we don't know. Bernard might show up in the show. We don't know. Let's hold out hope. And then second, I am too lazy to change the structure of my reviews. Just like the first season of this show, I am pleasantly surprised with how much I am enjoying this. If you watched my reaction of the trailer for this season, you know that my expectations for this show are at the floor. My expectations are very low, and I do that for a lot of shows just because I don't want to get disappointed, but so far, this show is exceeding them. It actually feels like the creators have a story that they want to tell with this second season, which is kind of surprising to me because after this show got announced for a second season, I thought it was going to be kind of a cash grab. It's like you had the success of the first season, we got to make a second season immediately. That's just kind of what it felt like. The story is by no means perfect, which I will get more into when we get to the naughty section of this review, but it feels planned out and weirdly enough necessary, which is something I did not think the show would be able to pull off. Simply put, it actually feels like there's a reason for this season to be made, and I'm excited to see where they go with it. I've also really enjoyed how this season just starts immediately. I feel like season 1 kind of started off slow and it just like took its time to do things, which is nice at points, but there was times where it was just like, can we please get moving? While this season, it feels like they are completely prepared to play in this sandbox. I also don't know this for a fact, but it feels like the budget for this season is substantially larger than last season. The effects are better. The sets are better. There's way more on-location shooting. I don't know if this will stay consistent through the show, but it's a welcome addition. I just hope this show doesn't go in the route of a lot of other Disney Plus shows where it seems like they spent all of their money on the first 2 episodes to like get you hooked. And then by the time the finale happens, it's like, oh, you ran out of money. You don't have any money for this show anymore. I've also really enjoyed Magnus Antis so far. Eric Stonetree has just been killing it in the role. And I don't want to talk crap on the other actors, but his screen presence is just top notch compared to the other actors. And I'm very excited to see where his character goes throughout the rest of the season. It kind of sucks that Gabriel Iglesias' character is just like an idiot. Like that's his whole personality. He's just dumb, but sometimes you just need dumb characters. So I'm all for it. And also, did anyone notice that he's dressed up like Mario? Like he's wearing the Mario outfit. It's probably like supposed to be Santa, but he's dressed as Mario. Come on. It was also very exciting to see Cupid back in this series. It seems like we're going to be seeing the majority of the legendary figures. I mean, we saw the Easter Bunny in the trailer. We saw the Sandman in the trailer. It seems like a lot of them are going to be back, and I'm all for that. All right, now that I've covered the nice, and there is a lot more nice, good stuff in this show, but I think I will be covering that in later reviews. So for the time being, let's move on to the naughty. Throughout the first 2 episodes of this season, it feels like this show is both treading water from last season and also feels a little too bloated. By bloated, I mean that we legitimately have 5 different storylines going on at the same time. We have Santa and Cal, we have Sandra and La Befana, we have Chris and Magnus Antis, we have Carol and Gary, and then we also have Betty's whole Cribble Crabble side story. And this isn't even mentioning all the flashbacks we're also getting. There's just a lot going on, and it feels like they're trying to give everyone a moment. That just isn't necessary. And by treading water, I'm referring to Santa and Cal's storyline, which is very similar to season 1 of the show. And this isn't necessarily a bad thing because this franchise has done this before. Almost all the Santa Claus movies follow a very similar structure of Scott's going through an existential crisis, so he needs to figure it out. So this isn't something new this franchise hasn't done before. It just kind of feels lazy. I'm also not the biggest fan of the Carol and Gary dynamic. Gary as a character is going to be very hard to balance because I don't think he's going to work super well as a main cast member. He's one of those characters that you just need little glimpses of, little moments of, because I feel like a lot of Gary might get kind of annoying. And I don't know, I hope I'm wrong, but it feels like they're really leaning into the Gary this season, and I just don't know how that's going to work out. And I also think that throwing Carol in this dynamic just kind of reduces her as a character, which I already felt like has happened in so much of this franchise. So it just kind of sucks seeing her just being put with the funniest character in the show. I'm by no means saying this isn't going to get better. It definitely could, but I'm keeping my pulse on it because I'm just a little hesitant on the whole dynamic. And finally, I enjoy the flashbacks a lot, but it's just weird seeing these modern characters in these flashbacks. I don't know. This is such a major nitpick from me, but it's just weird seeing these characters look exactly the same in these flashbacks. And I get it, they're elves, so they wouldn't age. It's just something weird about it. And I don't know how to explain it. And if you can explain it better in the comments, I am fully saying this is the biggest nitpick I have. It is not even an issue with the show. It is correct continuity. It's just weird to me. And I don't know how to explain it. That's it. All right, now that I've covered the naughty, let's get into the part of the review that everyone actually wants to talk about, the Bernard Watch. So obviously Bernard was in this episode. If you watched the recap of season 1, he showed up in it, but technically that isn't like canon to what's actually happened in the show. So the only connection we really have to Bernard so far in this season is how Betty has to go to Cribble Crabble. As we saw last season, when Bernard went to Cribble Crabble, he ended up meeting his wife. So maybe there will be some sort of connection that Bernard makes with Betty as she's in Cribble Crabble. I don't know. It's all hypotheticals and speculations at this point. It seems very unlikely that Bernard is going to show up, but even if he doesn't, the fact that Cribble Crabble is a plot point in this season means that Bernard's essence is at least present. I mean, that's something. I also want to say that Cribble Crabble is probably my favorite addition to the Clauses. I always love when this franchise leans into the Santa Claus business side of it, unless it's like the dumb family business thing that Scott Calvin is trying to do. I don't like that kind of stuff. I like the weird magic business stuff, and I just love that the head elf basically has to take a sabbatical. It's just funny. But that's all I got. Thank you so much for watching this review. I really appreciate it. I hope you are enjoying the show. I know I was a little more negative than normal in this review, but I really am having a lot of fun with this show, and I hope you are too. If you could leave this video a like, I'd really appreciate it. And also, if you have any thoughts or theories or anything, leave them in the comments. And finally, if you're not already subscribed, hit that subscribe button so you know when the next review comes out. Again, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you for the review of episode 3.